Hey, you guys, I wanted to come on here real quick because I wanted to share a story about a drug diversion when I was working with this other nurse in skilled nursing, and she tried to take me down with her drug diversion. Okay. Oh my God. So I basically was probably around like year 7 in my nursing career at that particular time. And I used to work like overnight, like on the weekends in skilled nursing just to make extra money. And somebody convinced me to work like a day shift. And to be honest with you guys, I really didn't want to work day shifts because day shift can be very crowded in the hospital or any other healthcare facility because there's so many disciplines. And another thing I noticed is that when you work day shift, oh my God, you can be a target for anything because if anything happens, somebody's just trying to pin it on somebody else. I just feel like more people get in trouble for things they didn't do on day shift. But nevertheless, um, I go into the skilled nursing facility and we're getting ready to do report. So we're standing at the med card, okay? So now the hall goes like this. This is a hall. This is the other end of the hall. But then behind me is another hall. So it's basically like a T, okay? So then there is a med cart in the middle of the hall, okay? One nurse, let's just call her Nurse Narky. She's going to be on this side of the hall and she's going to cover part of the T. I'm going to be on this side of the hall. I'm going to cover the other part of the T. So I'm literally just coming in thinking that we're going to do the report. We're going to count the narcs, okay? Why do they pop the narc drawer and there is only one key for the narc drawer, okay? And they want to keep the key in the drawer, okay? And they want us to share the narc drawer. So automatically, my brain says, okay, wait a minute. I'm going to have to call the supervisor because I need to question this. Nowhere in my 20 years of nursing have I ever shared a narc drawer with anybody. We all know how this goes. We count the narcs together, the off-going nurse and the oncoming nurse, and then you do it again at the end of the shift. I'm responsible for my own narcs and my own patients. So when I called the supervisor and I questioned her about it, she was like, yeah, well, that's just how they do it here. I said, so at the risk of sounding unprofessional, I just want to let you know that if any, I'm not going to be able to be accountable for any of these narcs then, except for what I signed out. I said, because we have to share a key and you're leaving it in the drawer. Like everybody has access to it. So long story short, we work, we do our job, and I actually like the nurse, you know what I'm saying? And so they basically had mixed my side with a little bit of the subacute side as well, which I like, so she was down her end doing her thing. I was down my end doing my thing. So now, first Saturday goes well. So I decided, okay, well, I'll sign up for a couple of more Saturdays. So let's say we about 3 weeks in or whatever. And so um, it becomes to the end of our shift, okay? And this other young nurse, she comes in and now she wants to count with me. So she's coming on shift and I'm going off. And I had already talked to narky nurse to ask her, do you want me to count, or do you want to count? Guess what she said? Oh, you go ahead and count. Okay. So me and the other nurse, we start counting. Why did we get down to, and the freaking count was off by like 3 narcs. And so y'all already know how this goes. I didn't take anything. And the good thing that I liked it was that on this particular day, when I tell you God will protect you, he is a heavy protector. This particular day, I didn't have any narcs to sign out. And that is like very rare. You know what I'm saying? In nursing. So the young girl, she's just an innocent girl. She was a fairly new nurse. We get down to the three, and I was like, "Excuse me for a second." I said, "I'm gonna have to go get, narky, narky nurse." You know what I mean? And she started to look, with like a concerned look on her face, like, "Hey, what's going on here?" You know what I'm saying? Everybody has that look, So narky nurse comes up, and I'm like, did you forget to sign out any narcs? I'm always going to present it professional. I definitely have to give her the benefit of the doubt. This is the setup of the facility, so I'm going to ask her. And so I said, I think you probably forgot to sign out some narcs. But what happened was she couldn't like backtrack, and she couldn't justify signing out any narcs. So some kind of way she did something where we got down to, it was only like one missing. I think she must have said, "Oh, I forgot to sign out for Miss So and so, and I forgot to sign out for Mrs. So and so." So the new nurse said, "Well, it's still one missing." So why did narky nurse say to me, she kept doing one of them, nudging me with her foot, talking about, "Audra, Audra, it fell on the floor. Audra, Audra, it fell on the floor." Y'all, I'm looking at her like, and I really think, that some people think, like, if it was my sister or my cousin or y'all know where I'm going with this. People think I'm automatically supposed to side with you, but no, I'm a licensed registered nurse. I am a professional. I am a clinician. And I just happen to be by the book, you guys. That's how I was taught. So nudging me and all of that, you could do whatever you want to do. I'm going to play this thing the right way. You know what I'm saying? I don't see it. And I looked at her and I said, I don't see anything on the floor. You know what I'm saying? So then the new nurse, she was like, "Okay." She said, That's it. I don't know what's going on. Something fishy's going on." But I said, "Yeah, we got to call the supervisor." So we called the supervisor, and all I know is when the supervisor came, she questioned, and I told her straight up, I said, "I didn't have any narcs to give out today." So she said, "Well, both of y'all gonna have to write a statement, da 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 da." Do you know that like 2 weeks later, I got something in the mail, and they called me on the phone too. And they was like, "Audra, we need you to come back in, and we need you to write another statement." I said, "Well, I already wrote a statement." I said, "My statement is still going to be the same." So I basically wrote, "I did not have any narcs to give out that day." And it's so funny because the MAR reflects that none of my patients were prescribed narcs. You know what I'm saying? Do you know that nurse? I think she got terminated. You know what I'm saying? And then they reported her. You know, and they took her urine. So they found, and I think it was oxy IR that was in her system. But can y'all believe that? Can y'all believe that? She kept nudging me, talking about it fell on the ground. Okay, if it fell on the ground, then pick it up. Like, do your thing, ma. Like, you need to bring it into the count. That's what you need to do. You know what I'm saying? But I just can't believe that she thought that I was just, what would make you think we don't even know each other like that? You know what I'm saying? And she really tried to take me down with her on a drug diversion. I think she ended up having to go to rehab or whatever. But anyway, before I end this story, I want to flip over to another side in another skilled nursing facility in a totally different state. Oh my God. Why was I working with this young nurse? And I really loved this chick, right? But we had those bottles of morphine. Now, the morphine is blue. Now, we all know what type of blue it is. It's like that pretty Caribbean blue, So when we go in and we count the narcs, it's in one narc drawer. They have it in the plastic bag and it get all sticky and everything. You know what I'm saying? And every nurse loves when it's over. You know what I'm saying? We always say, oh, well, it's better for it to be over than under. Well, as I worked with this nurse and she's doing her side of the hall, I'm doing my side, you get to talking at the nurse say, she's like this. You know what I'm saying? And she just, seemed a little, you know, I didn't pay it too much mind, because I basically was like part time. So I didn't work with her every day, you know. But we continued to work together. However, whenever I would come back and I would rotate through different nurses, we started to see a lighter blue morphine. Now, you know darn well that that morphine is not light blue like that. So you already know what our brain is saying, that this is becoming diluted. You see what I'm saying? So now, as a licensed, clinician, now I have a responsibility to bring it to somebody's attention. Well, let me tell you something. Somebody beat me to the punch. I reached out, to the board, and the board basically was already aware that this nurse had a drug problem, and they was like, Audra, they said, we told her to go through the drug rehab program. They said, and we told her that if she went through the program, that she could keep her license. They give people a chance, and they just wanted her to be rehabilitated. But they said they had several complaints about her. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's sad because she was such a nice young girl, and so one nurse came to the nursing station one night and she questioned her in front of us, and she was like, I just want to be honest with you. She was like, are you taking the north? No, the nurse was sharing her story with us. She was like, oh, guess what, somebody had a nerve to ask me, was I taking the morphine? Well, number one, if I would share with y'all, trying to make a joke of it, and this, that, and the other. That to me just confirmed that, maybe she had a little problem, because that's not nothing to joke about. These are patients' meds, these are narcotics, we're professionals, you know. But guess what tipped the iceberg of this? Guess what happened? We ended up going, so we worked overnight, and then when the morning came, I was sitting there finishing up my notes, okay? Why did the supervisor, because her and the supervisor used to be really close, they used to go out to take smoke breaks and everything, and so why did the supervisor come to the nursing station, and she said to the nurse, she said, you're day nurse today. And I'm thinking to myself, why would they put her on day nurse? Like, she's clearly on drugs. They're already, checking into her, investigator, or what. It's clear that this girl, you could just tell her appearance. We're nurses, you know what I'm saying? Why was I sitting there doing my notes, y'all? She was like this. She was just like, I mean, and in the daytime, you know what I'm saying? Even during the week, even on the weekend, like, a lot of family members are coming in to visit and stuff like that. I was like, it's just funny, who they'll choose to represent their facility. You know what I'm saying? Why would you choose the nurse who is clearly nodding off of something? Because I didn't see her take anything, but she's clearly on something. Like, at one time she was down there like this, y'all. I was like, wow. I just couldn't understand it for the life of me. It baffled me. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? 2 drug diversions, 2 different states, 2 different nurses, 2 different scenarios. It's a real thing. And I just want to know in the comments, you guys, if you were a nurse or if you were working on any other job and somebody tried to take you down with them. She said, ain't it on the floor, Audra? Oh my God, my goodness. You know what I'm saying? What would you do about it? What would you do about it? Let me know in the comments. And you guys, in a few weeks, I'll be going live. So let me know what topic you want to discuss, or any, things that you want me to be prepared for, any questions that you have. Thank you so much. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful evening. It's always so nice to come on here and talk to you guys because you guys give me a lot of therapy for what I've gone through. I share these stories because it was, like I said, 80% of my career was really good. 20% of it was a challenge. And the 20% challenge is enough to wipe the 80 out sometimes because you already know in nursing, all we have is each other. Have a good one, you guys.